That was my sister Olivia Brooks, seconds after her son slammed his toy truck into my laptop screen. My name is Daniel Brooks, and that was the exact moment my family stopped being my family. The screen flickered once, then went black. A thin crack spread across it like a fault line. 3 years of sleepless nights, contracts, code, investor decks, my entire prototype, were trapped inside that machine. And now it was dead. You shouldn't have left it where a child could reach, my father, Robert Brooks, said calmly from the dining table. My mother, Linda Brooks, didn't even look up. You know how kids are. Olivia rolled her eyes. Don't be dramatic, Dan. Just buy another one. Buy another one. That laptop held the only local build of a project investors were flying in to see on Monday. No cloud backup. No duplicate copy. I had protected it everywhere, except in this house. I stood slowly. My hands trembled, but my voice stayed steady. You knew how important that was. Olivia shrugged. Work is work. Family comes first. Something inside me went silent. Not anger, clarity. I walked to the garage and picked up a hammer. It felt heavy. Certain. When I stepped back inside, their smiles faded. Without hesitation, I smashed the broken laptop into pieces on the table. The sound exploded through the room. Are you insane? Olivia shouted. I looked at the wreckage. You think I care about the machine? I said calmly. I'm grieving the years I wasted thinking this house was safe. Then I turned and walked out the front door, leaving more than just a laptop behind. I didn't drive anywhere special that night. I just kept going until the lights of Karachi blurred into a quiet stretch of road. I parked under a broken street lamp and stared at the steering wheel, replaying every word they had said. Buy another one. Don't be dramatic. Kids will be kids. 3 years of work, gone in seconds. My phone buzzed. It was Aisha Malik, my co-founder. Daniel, investors confirmed Monday. You're ready, right? My throat tightened. There was an accident. Silence. Then softly, tell me you have a backup. I didn't answer. She already knew. I leaned back and closed my eyes. The prototype wasn't just code. It was my chance to live the small life everyone expected of me. The same life where my dreams were jokes at dinner tables and my work was treated like a hobby. Another message popped up, from my mother. Come home. You're overreacting. I stared at it for a long time, then turned the phone off. For the first time, I asked myself a question I'd avoided for years. Why was I still trying to win approval from people who didn't even respect me? At 2 a.m., I opened the laptop back again, hoping for a miracle. Nothing. Just cracked plastic and silence. But then I remembered something small, something I'd done months ago without thinking. An old email draft. A test upload. A partial file I once sent to Aisha late at night. My hands shook as I turned my phone back on and searched the inbox. There it was. Not the full project, but enough to rebuild. Enough to start again. And for the first time that night, I smiled. The next morning, I barely slept, but I was already at my desk before sunrise. The partial file from Aisha Malik was open on my screen, glowing like a second chance. It wasn't perfect. Some features were missing, some data corrupted, but the core idea was still alive. I called her. Daniel, you sound exhausted, she said gently. I lost the prototype, I admitted. But I found a backup piece you still had. We can rebuild, if you still trust me. She didn't hesitate. I never stopped trusting you. We'll fix it together. Her words felt like oxygen. All day, we worked non-stop. Line by line. Bug by bug. While fixing the code, I realized something strange. The new version was actually better. Cleaner. Smarter. Stronger. Sometimes losing something forces you to build it right. By evening, the system finally ran again. Not perfect, but ready enough to show investors. I leaned back, smiling for the first time in days. Then my father walked into my room. Still wasting time on that useless project, he said coldly. I looked at him quietly. For years, I would have argued, begged, explained. But this time, I just said, "You understand one day." He laughed and left. 2 days later, we stood outside a tall glass building in Dubai, holding our presentation files. My heart was pounding. Everything depended on this meeting. Inside that room were people who didn't know my past, didn't care about family drama. They only cared about results. For the first time in my life, I felt free. As the doors opened and we stepped in, I whispered to Aisha, "No matter what happens today, thank you for believing in me." She smiled. "Just win this, Daniel." The conference room was silent except for the low hum of the air conditioner. 5 investors sat across from us, their expressions unreadable. Glass walls. City skyline. No room for excuses. I connected the laptop to the screen. For a split second, I feared it would freeze. Crash. Fail. But it didn't. The logo appeared. Clean. Sharp. Alive. I began the presentation. At first, my voice felt tight. Then something shifted. I stopped trying to impress them and started telling the truth about the problem, the solution, and why this platform mattered. Aisha handled the technical breakdown flawlessly. Every question they asked, we answered with confidence. Months of preparation were finally paying off. One investor leaned forward. "What makes you different from the competitors?" I paused, then said honestly, "Because we built this from nothing. No big funding. No shortcuts. We know every weakness because we've failed through each one." The room went quiet again. But this time, it felt different. Interested. After 2 intense hours, we stepped outside while they discussed privately. My hands were shaking, but I tried to hide it. "Whatever happens," Aisha said softly, "I'm proud of us." 10 minutes later, the door opened. The lead investor smiled. "Congratulations. We're offering you seed funding." For a second, I couldn't breathe. Funding. Real money. Real opportunity. They shook our hands. Contracts would follow. Everything was moving forward. As we walked out of the building into the bright afternoon sun of Dubai, I checked my phone. 20 missed calls from home. A message from Olivia, "Dad saw your company online. Call us immediately." I stared at the screen. For the first time, they weren't laughing. They were calling. The ride home was tense. My mind was still buzzing from the investor meeting, but I knew I couldn't escape what awaited at home. Olivia's messages had stopped at the last one, leaving a trail of unanswered alarms. When I stepped inside, the air smelled different, strained, anxious. Mom sat rigid on the couch, hands clasped tightly. Dad hovered nearby, glancing at me as if I were a stranger returning from a war zone. "Michael," Dad's voice cracked slightly. We saw your company featured online." How did you do this? I put my bag down, calm, measured. I built it. Alone. With Aisha. No shortcuts. No favors. Just work and focus. Mom's lips trembled. We didn't realize, we thought you needed us. I shook my head. I didn't need you. I needed space, not interference. Silence fell heavy in the room. The same house that had always felt suffocating now felt alien. I had changed. Olivia stepped forward hesitantly. You humiliated us, she whispered. Her eyes brimmed with confusion and disbelief. No, I said firmly. You humiliated yourselves. Your favoritism, your dismissiveness, it was always more about control than care. I just acted on the truth. Dad's shoulders slumped. He opened his mouth, then closed it. No rebuttal. Nothing to defend. I reached for my laptop bag. The business. It's my stage now. You don't get a say. Mom's hand shook as she reached for me. Michael, we're sorry. I gave a small nod, but didn't move closer. I'm not here for apologies. I'm here for my life. My work. My future. I left the house again that evening, not to escape, but to reclaim my time. Alone in my new apartment, I allowed myself a small smile. For the first time in years, I felt the weight lift. I hadn't just survived my family's chaos, I had outgrown it. And nothing, not even their expectations, could touch what I was building now. The following morning, I woke to an empty apartment and a quiet mind. For the first time in years, there were no interruptions, no judgments, no passive-aggressive comments bleeding into my work. I poured myself coffee and opened my laptop, reviewing the investor deck one last time. Every slide, every number, every projection reflected the hours I'd poured in while the world around me doubted my worth. Then came the ping of an email. My father. Short, clipped, we need to talk. Now. I smiled faintly and typed back, I'm busy building. If you want to talk about family, call a therapist. If it's business, I've moved forward. Minutes later, the phone rang. Dad. Hesitation in his voice. Michael, this isn't just about the company. We need guidance. Olivia, your sister, she's lost. She doesn't know how to move forward. I leaned back, calm, deliberate. She'll manage. She has to. This is what happens when you treat people as extensions of yourselves instead of letting them grow. He was silent. Then, quieter, almost a whisper, you've changed everything. Your mother, she's collapsing. I sipped my coffee, letting the weight of his words settle. My heart didn't race. There was no anger, only clarity. Mom will survive. And so will you. But you can't control me anymore. You never could. After the call, I turned to the stack of documents from my sister's apartment, the receipts, the contracts, the proof that every indulgence she enjoyed came from my effort. I had retrieved them methodically, not vindicatively. My intent was clear, I wasn't just reclaiming what was mine. I was drawing a boundary that no one would cross again. By evening, the chaos had settled. My apartment was quiet, the skyline visible through the windows. I breathed deeply, realizing something profound. Freedom didn't come from revenge or proving them wrong. It came from taking control of my life, my work, and my focus. And for the first time in years, Michael Grant felt truly unshackled. The past was gone. The future, his to command. Days passed in a rhythm I hadn't felt in years. No interruptions, no chaos, just focus. I spent mornings refining the prototype, afternoons preparing for the investor meeting, and evenings reflecting on the family I had left behind. The bitterness, the anger, it all dissolved into clarity. I didn't need their approval anymore. I only needed my own. Then came the final confirmation, the press release from Regal Systems. Michael Grant joins as CTO of the AI division. My name, my work, my achievement, public. I didn't celebrate. I simply sat back and let the world recognize what I had always known: my worth wasn't tied to them. My phone buzzed with messages, old college friends, investors, even some from my father's network. Each message carried acknowledgement, respect, sometimes awe. But the ones that mattered were absent: no apologies, no gratitude, no recognition from the family that tried to control me. And that was fine. I didn't need them. That evening, I walked through the empty streets, the city lights reflecting off glass towers. Freedom was tangible, a quiet hum beneath the noise of the metropolis. I realized the truth: the greatest victories aren't loud. They're the ones you live quietly, without seeking revenge, without flaunting success, just by building a life they can't touch. A week later, an envelope arrived at my door. Inside, a photograph, me and my younger self, Michael, laughing in the sun, carefree. No note, no explanation, but the message was clear. Some things, like resilience, courage, and self-worth, transcend words. They are inherited, remembered, and lived. I looked at the skyline from my apartment window, the city alive below. I didn't feel anger, regret, or sorrow. I felt liberation. The family that stifled me no longer had power. The work I loved, the life I built, the respect I earned, they were mine. Michael Grant was no longer a shadow in my own home. I had outgrown them, and in doing so, I had finally grown into myself.